from NBC News. This is Today.
We're back on this Monday with Today's Woman and some upsetting statistics when it comes to us ladies and our happiness.
Yes, according to one government study, women are less happy than they were 40 years ago. So, author Naomi Wolf decided to delve into the topic and look at how we might up the satisfaction odds. And she's written all about it in the April issue of More magazine. Hey, Naomi.
Hey, very nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
I'm so happy to be here.
So we are less happy? Is that true from 40 years ago?
It's not technically true. If you look at the actual study, you know, the media made a big furor. Oh my God, women are less happy. And as
it's like
you
the
guys,
10th time we've done this, though.
Yeah,
exactly. Every time there's a chance, like, oh, feminism ruined it. 40 years of feminism and women are miserable. In fact, that's not what the numbers show. They show something really interesting, though. They do show that women are less satisfied. They're less satisfied with their jobs, less satisfied with their marriages, with every aspect of their lives. And there's a satisfaction gap. Men get more satisfied as they get older, and women get less satisfied.
Do you think women 40 years ago, when they were asked if they were happy, told the truth?
You know, I was so impressed when I was in the green room listening to you guys talking about this, because you guys have it all figured out. It is
well,
true.
we're old by the time we get to
you got it. 40 years ago, it was socially taboo for women to say, I'm being beaten or I'm being underpaid at work. And so one thing the women's movement did do, for better and worse, is, it taught women to complain about what is really wrong. You know, being paid half as much for doing the same work, being, you know, abused, sexual assault. I mean, the first gatherings of women in the women's movement were complaining, basically, consciousness-raising sessions. But what I did find in this article is that there's a downside to a culture that teaches us always to look upward at what we don't have and not give us enough support in finding real meaning and real fulfillment.
Because every time you get an opportunity, it doesn't mean you're going to succeed at the opportunity you're given. Therefore, this dissatisfaction.
Well,
even if you're offered a job that's equal to a man's, it may not turn out to be what you want.
Or, unfortunately, what's happened with 40 years of not just feminism, but consumer culture is that you may get that fantastic job, but the magazines and the television, everything you're hearing from advertising is that's not enough, or my neighbor still has more, or I need to, you know, trade up constantly. So that's why one thing that was really eye-opening for me was going to the developing world, where, you know, I went to a place in Sierra Leone where women were really no longer able to rejoin their communities because they lacked like $5 worth of antibiotics, and they had terrible infections. And so when I came back, I had to get minor surgery, and all of my friends were, oh God, Naomi, that's so terrible, I'm so sorry. And I was saying, you know, thank God, you know, surgical, you know, sterile instruments, you know,
everything we take for granted.
And I felt very blessed, you know, very lucky.
How much of this unhappiness is that women feel like we're behind the 8 ball? Like, no matter how hard we work, it's not enough money, kids need this. Like, what about the fact that you just feel like you can never quite get ahead, and that makes people feel dissatisfied or unhappy?
I would have thought that you were right, except that that affects men too, especially in this economy. And really, there are some things unique to women that we're doing to ourselves. Women tend to be very self-critical. So if it's not perfect, if we're not the perfect size, if we're, you know, our lines are showing a little, if our children are not perfect, if our, you know, marriages are not perfect, we tend to think it's my fault, or there's something wrong with me, or this is just not good enough. We're trained to do that. I mean, how many times with your women friends do they ask you, how's everything? And you say, everything's great. I love everything in my life. It's socially not acceptable to say that. That's why I encourage women to you know, celebrate.
But nobody wants to be around somebody who just whines all the time either. You don't want to hear that.
That's certainly true. But there's also, I think, the fact that in the West, we've also been trained, as you guys said, to look for happiness in things and status. And so again, when you know, I've talked to feminists in the developing world, and this is kind of a different point, and they say they feel sorry for us because they see it as guaranteed to make us unhappy. They say you neglect your old people, you throw away your marriages, you're not finding your meaning in community and in something larger than yourselves. And what I did find is that the women who are happiest are the ones, you know, I was really struck by Lucy Liu and Sheryl Crow. They have everything, and they're serving, they give, and I bet they are happier than their counterparts with everything who are not serving.
Naomi, thank you for your insight.
Well,
thank you so much.
Great to see you. Happy spring.
Happy moment with you.
We're happy.
I'm so happy now.
Me too. I'm too happy.
Oh, we do feel a little bit.
All right, here comes a woman, you guys, who's going to inspire you to get into shape for the spring.